Define irony. And I'm not talking about that Alanis Morissette song where absolutely nothing in it was ironic. I'm talking like actual real irony. You know, where you go out and you pay somebody to do a job that you really don't have time to do. But then, at the worst time possible, you got to do that job. Because maybe they didn't do it the way they should have. We're going to talk about that on this week's Tuesday Morning Tech Tip from Pugliese Speed Shop. So you guys can probably figure out now, what's going on here. It's ironic because I had somebody work on the Tundra, right? It was due for the 100,000 mile service, and you change the fluids, coolant, had the brake fluid done, everything else except for the trans. I still got to do that because that place didn't want to do it. Well, they don't do it, whatever it might be. But while they were at it, I said, go ahead and change the oil and do the rotate the tires, which is all stuff that this place has done for me before on other vehicles, right? So it's not, I'm not bashing the place, all right? So don't take this the wrong way. But that's why I had them do it. I didn't want to do it. I'm working on the OBS. I think at the time we still had the caddy. You know how that was a whole thing. So I said, let's have this guy knock it out. Not a problem. Did a great job. Everything was good to go. So I thought. So you guys saw 2 weeks ago, something like that. I made some shorts where I was driving back from my mother's house in the ice storm. I'm thinking that guy don't want to be facing this way. What do you think? You think I'm onto something? Looks like everybody seems to be okay. Salt trucks are right behind us. And we'll just keep on keeping on. No big deal. Got a four-wheel drive truck. Lived in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania when I got my license, so I'm not really so worried about weather, right? Well, when I was in two-wheel drive most of that way until there was one part where I would have rather been in four-wheel drive. So I did this, in four-wheel drive. You guys hear that? That's not good. So back in two, goes away. Never did that before. And I started thinking to myself, what could have possibly gone wrong there? Because, changing some fluids, rotating tires. I've put 2,500 miles on the truck since we did that. Have not had it in four-wheel drive, except for two very short little times that I did hear that and then I kind of forgot. So that's on me. So luckily, I knew, from where I grew up and whatnot, was experienced enough to know how to handle a vehicle in the bad weather when it's only two-wheel drive, because that's what I had. Now, we did a little bit of thinking. I'm pretty sure I got this figured out. So, we're going to take it down to the shop and temporarily fix the problem. I think with a simple removal task. And I'm probably going to need to order some parts, because I'm thinking that they weren't reinstalled when a certain part was put back on. All right, we're at the shop. I'm going to stop recording so I can open the door and at least get the nose of this thing in, because it just finished raining. I really don't want to lay down where it's wet. I'll bring it back in a minute. So you guys haven't noticed, this always happens most inopportune times. Not a whole lot of room in the shop right now, and but we did get the nose in, which should be all we need. Obviously, this truck's lifted, right? I got a 3.1 lift on it, leveling plus lift, whatever. It's running 35s, and it's one of the reasons I love it so much. But when you do that, you got to change other stuff, right? Part of that is, should be a little light in here. That's in my face. All right. You guys see this skid plate right here, right? This has to come off when you change the oil because the oil filter is like up in there.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here.
And that is, if you notice, can you see this? Things are touching right there, guys. And I'm thinking there's spacers that was put in there that was not reinstalled. So we're going to drop this pan. We'll figure it out. All right, we got the skid plate down. Sitting here on a little picnic blanket. And let me show you what's going on. So you got these 3 screws that go right in the front here into this plastic thing. And you got these 5. So initially, there was 5 of these, right? Well, can you see? Let me see if we can see this here. I want you to understand, you know? When we did the lift, oh yeah, you can see it. You see that spacer? There's 2 of them, right? That's to bring the transfer or the pumpkin down so we don't kill our CV joints, right? The angle would be crazy without bringing that down when we lifted the truck. So, part of that, that's sitting that much lower. This guy here needs to sit a little lower. And that is what this is for. And it came with 3, like, just over 1/4 inch spacers. And these 3 bolts that at one point in their life had washers on them. So, if you notice, see that? This way you still have the stock amount of, you know, bite on it, and it all works out well. This spacer came out when I dropped it. But there's still one in there because I glued them on. And you guys saw from the glue I used on the, well, that guy right there, the OBS, stuff holds, right? You see there's still one right there glued on. But there's also a bolt that goes back there. It was glued on. Apparently that one fell off. And they probably didn't notice it. But they put the screw in it, or the bolt rather, and ran her home. And actually bent this right here. All that being said though, that's not the problem. That's not what's causing the issue when I put it in 4-wheel drive. While I was under here, I looked back. It's kind of hard here. We'll get it. We'll get it, guys. See if I can zoom in. You can see what I saw. Well, there's the drive shaft. That's the wrong drive shaft. Where's it at? Where's it at? We're looking. I don't think we can see it from this angle. We're going to have to move, guys. We'll do that. But, yeah, that's the rear drive shaft. That's not a problem. So here's the wind coming. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that went right in my face. Here's the front drive shaft. We got some kind of heat shield or something rubbing right on that guy. So that's definitely touching the drive shaft there, huh? That's definitely scraping it right there. So let's do this. Looks like the problem is solved. However, I'd like to know, how did that happen? Did I hit something? I could blame it on the shop guys, but I really don't think they did that. That'd be really haphazard. I might have hit something on the road. They might have, oh, they put on a lift? I guess that's possible, but not probable. I don't want to blame them guys, because I like them guys. They've always treated me good. But I think we fixed the problem. Take it for a ride here and make sure. Plenty of clearance. I don't even know what that does. But it's there. It's looks like it's bent back into shape. Maybe a heat shield for this? I don't know. Whatever, I don't think it matters too much, but it should stop making that noise. We still got an issue to work out front, though. The issue we got to work out front is I don't want to put this skid plate back up without having the proper hardware. I found 3 washers that'll fit on those bolts, so that's fine. I don't have a spacer, so I'm just going to take this thing off for now. It's not like detrimental. I'm not going like rock climbing tomorrow or ever. And I would take the Jeep, not the Tundra, if that's what I was doing. So, but we do have like a blizzard on its way here. We're talking anywhere from 10 to 22 inches of snow. I would like to have 4-wheel drive working, which now it's all legit. So we should be fine. Not that I really have anywhere to go. I'll probably just be down here working while everybody else is doing their plowing. Guys, by the way, if it's crazy weather out there, get off the effing road. I got guys that are just driving around, taking pictures. Let the dudes do their job with the plows. Get the hell out of the way. You don't know what the hell you're doing anyways, all right? Had to be said. All right. So, yeah, I'm not going to get in their way. I don't think they need my help. So, no big deal. And we'll probably stop one day on the way home from work prior to the storm. See if I can get some spacers at Ace or something like that. And then we'll put it back together the right way. All right, skid plates off. We got that thing bent out of the way. Let's take it for a ride and see if we fixed the glitch.
Through some kind of glitch in the payroll department, he still gets a paycheck.
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch.
Great. So, Milton has been let go.
Well, just a second there, Professor. We fixed the glitch.
Throwing 4-wheel drive here in a second. We should know real soon. Doesn't take long, guys. So, yeah, a little bit upset here. So, 4 high. Look at that, guys. It's fixed. All we gotta do is bend that thing off of the drive shaft, and we are good to go. Back in business. All right. Well, we're gonna park this thing, and we'll sit down and talk about what we learned today. All right, guys. I said I don't want to like bash the shop, but it's hard not to, right? I mean, people make mistakes. I got it, right? They've been awesome before. We had Megan's Camry in there. The dealership wanted to charge us like $150 just to look at that TPMS crap. And they're like, dude, we'll rotate the tires and check it for you. It cost me $27. Fix the problem. You know, and they could have been the same way that the dealership was, right? But they're not. They're not that kind of people. It's just somebody got in a rush. It happens. I just got off the phone with Kevin, and he had some problems with Roy, and he said, you know, I got in a rush and put it together because I'm trying to get exhaust done tomorrow. I got to have it there at 8 o'clock, so he might have caused a problem. We'll find out, you know. Of course, you know, he keeps us updated, so. But that's what's happening there, right? Somebody rushed. Because let's say there's a significant difference. Let me show you these bolts again, right? These are the ones that came with the kit when I lifted it, and they go in the back 3 bolts, and these are the ones that were initially there. So, difference, right? Okay. They didn't pay attention to what came out of where. So there was one of these in the front, one of these on the side. This was crammed into the front and bottomed out, and you know, apparently one of the spacers fell out. They didn't even notice that. I understand. As an aircraft mechanic, like if something falls out, it's the sky is falling, right? Because it's aviation, right? There's a big thing with FOD, you know, foreign object damage, debris, all that kind of stuff. So it's a huge deal. Now, that's bred into me over the last 30 years. Holy shit, I'm old. But it is. So when I see this, and I treat a vehicle the same way. I know a lot of guys don't. I know aircraft mechanics that don't. But that's also part of like the way my father was, right? Like he was the same way with stuff. He'd drop a bolt and he'd be like, that's gonna leave a rattle. I gotta find this. And I do the same thing. Like I said a million times before, the way he worked on stuff and taught me kind of prepped me for a career in aviation. And which is funny, he never worked on a plane a day in his life, but he had the mentality, right? So obviously, whoever was working on this truck did not. Something fell out. Maybe they looked for it. Maybe they couldn't find it. I wish he didn't drive it back in with the impact. And I mean, it took some doing to get that out of there. And it bent the because there's spacers here and there's none of the center ones, so it bent that up. So he jacked it up. Right now, I'll hammer and dolly a little bit, fix it, no big deal. And then, as much as I want to say that maybe I hit something on the road and that's what caused that thing to bend up, nobody's driven the truck but me since I had it in the shop, and I didn't hit nothing. Nothing. All right. So, and on top of that, right there is where you would swing the arm in to put on the lift. I mean, the evidence is there, right? And I'll talk to them and you know, if nothing, I don't want nothing for free, you know, like that. I want them to be aware that they need to be aware of their surroundings. They gotta, I just need you to give one shit. I tell it to the kid all the time. And I'm not saying the guy didn't care, but he got in a rush. They're slinging how many cars out of there a day? I'm dealing with, you know, my junk. They're slinging stuff out of there all day long. So I understand there'd be a mistake here or there. But that's where quality comes into play, right? You got a guy that goes behind and checks everybody. Maybe they don't. I don't know their process, but that's what we do in aviation wise, because, well, it just makes sense. Because if they did, I don't know, maybe I'd like to think somebody would have caught that. Somebody would have been like, dude, how did that happen? But that drive shaft doesn't spin unless you're in a four-wheel drive. So I didn't know it until I needed it, right? I mentioned it happened like once or twice before. When I pulled the van out of Jay's front yard, I heard it. I was like, hey, man, you hear that? And he's like, yeah. And he's looking. And I assumed that I was on a weird angle and with the trailer and this and that. And I was like, man, I've never had it in four-wheel drive with the trailer. It wasn't squatted. So, I mean, it didn't. But I kind of just chalked it up to that. I'll take a look at it later, no big deal. And then when I pulled the van out of here, it was pretty wet outside. So I had it, it's gravel coming out of here. So I had it in four-wheel drive for that, and it did it again. And I was like, I can look at that. And then I just didn't. And then when I was coming back from my mother's house, I knew, like, it was pretty sketch. There's sometimes, like, I was in two-wheel drive, not a big deal. But there was some part, we went over this bridge. Guys, if you're not from the north, bridges ice up faster than the regular road because there's nothing underneath to insulate it, right? There's a river that runs there, it's just cold. And that's there was an accident there. Now the whole time when I first saw that first accident, I would have put in full drive because I was sliding around, and it didn't. It made that noise, and I was like, "Ah, man, I forgot about that." So I took it out, and I just kind of played it, and I not a big deal. Well, there's another accident where there was car, and it was tight. And we're doing 10 mile an hour and I'm still spinning tires. I was like, I need to put this thing in four-wheel drive just so I could pull it straight. Because that sense, you get it, right? Don't put other people in danger if you don't got to. And I was like, oh, worst case scenario, I got to put a drive shaft to this thing, I guess, right? Not a big deal, a couple scratches on it, whatever. But that's my bad for putting it off. So yeah, I'm pissed off at the situation. I paid somebody to do some work that, not that I didn't want to do, I really didn't have time to. And they're more equipped, right, to do all the flushes and all that stuff. I was like, dude, my brake pedal was getting a little soft. I felt it. It's got 100,000 miles on it. I put new pads. I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and swap that out. So, and huge difference. They did good work. They took care of everything. They took care of it in no time at all. Cost me a couple $100. I mean, everything was great. Customer service, perfect. I feel the difference in the brake, so I know that the job was done. They rotated the tires. That was obvious. I saw where the brake dust was, right? So that was moved. So it's not like they didn't do the work, but just somebody got lazy. Somebody got in a rush or lazy or whatever, maybe a mixture of both. And so that's why you gotta know your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta know your vehicles. Whether you're a car person or not, you know, hot rod or whatever you want to call it, whether you gotta know when your stuff's not right. So, because guys, another thing my father used to say, nobody cares more about your shit than you do. All right? And that's a fact. I don't care if you're working on your car, your truck, your motorcycle, your house, furniture, your clothing, whatever you have that somebody's doing something for you, nobody cares more than you. So if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how it should be, if you're not aware of the condition of your stuff, you're never going to know if somebody's getting a little lazy on you or getting in a rush and not giving you the best job that they could give you. Like I said, I'm going to go talk to these guys. I'm going to let them know, hey, man, I'm not looking for a free oil change. And I'll just tell you guys, they jacked this thing up. Be aware, especially you got something. So it's funny, they're the ones that did the alignment and everything when I put the lift, and they did a great job. They mounted the wheels and tires, did all that stuff on that truck. They've had that truck a couple times before. Maybe it's a new guy. Who knows? Maybe the guy's having a bad day. You know, I don't know. Maybe he got in a fight with his old lady before he left the house. Whatever it might have been, know your stuff. Make sure you know what your stuff's supposed to look like. Take a look at it afterwards. I didn't do that either. So maybe the first time I heard that, if I got in the truck, I'd have saw that, I could have pulled it out of the way. It would have taken until the next oil change that I pulled that stuff off and saw that the spacers were messed up or whatever. But part of maintaining your stuff is knowing what you're doing. So whether you're doing the work or not, whether you're a mechanic or not, you know what's right. Thanks for watching, guys.